Thank you. Yeah, I actually arrived. A very good morning to all of you. Please be seated. And listening to Dr. Wale, I think I saw him before he suffered the heart attack that he talked about. It's so good, Wale, if you're still in the house, we thank God for you and your life. And thank you for being such a transformational speaker. He also runs a street university. Can you imagine? A street university, which is an online institution. Before I make my remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to recognize that I'm accompanied by 3 senators. Thank you so much, one of whom is the Secretary General of my party, or our party, Senator Shakila Abdallah, all the way from Lamu. And then we have Senator Agnes Kavindu, Senator for Machakos. And then we have Senator Enoch Wambua. He is also the Deputy Minority Leader in the Senate. Then we have a number of MCRs from all over the place. If you could also stand, Irene Mulu and quite a number of them. Now, I want to make my remarks, but I must also tell you to tighten your belt because I'm here to intentionally provoke you as professionals, because it's a call to action if indeed we want to save our nation. And so I'll read these remarks and perhaps juxtapose them occasionally with other remarks. Mr. Chairman, or is it Mr. President Kakai? Philip Kakai, Madam Chief Executive Officer, CPA, Dr. Grace Kamau, incoming Chairman, Professor Elizabeth Kalonzo. I love that name. Reminds me of where I come from. Distinguished council members and delegates gathered today, whether here or at the Sarova White Sands, here in Sarova, or Pride in Mombasa, or those of you joining us virtually. It is a great honor to address the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of this 42nd annual seminar. And ladies and gentlemen, ICPAK has a long and very rich history. The Institute, founded as a regulatory organization by an Act of Parliament in 1978, is responsible for regulating and coordinating the operations of Kenya's certified and registered public accountants. You not only advise the examination board on examinations and standards, you also advise the Minister for Finance on matters relating to financial accountability in all sectors of the economy by setting and enforcing standards of professional practice, such as accounting, auditing, and ethical standards. And how you have grown, and the region has also grown, to hear that we have also representatives, a lot of whom are also online from Burundi, from Rwanda. In fact, your council member tells me even Somalia, the newest member of the East African community, from Tanzania and wherever. I don't know whether there are others from the Republic of South Sudan, the world's newest country. As such, and governed by law, you are one of the most important pillars upon which our country's dreams should be built. Over the last 5 days, outstanding Kenyans and foreigners have addressed delegates on a wide range of topics. You have thought things out, asked questions, and shared your professional experiences. All of this has resulted in today's key theme, self-management, and listening to Dr. Wale, self-regulation. A legendary Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu, remarked in one of his well-known works that, I quote, Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. End of quote. This was penned centuries ago. I think really connect with me today. With absolute confidence, having observed the evolution of our republic from a unique viewpoint, as a lawyer, as a mediator in our conflicts in the region, as a lawmaker, yes, even one time as deputy speaker for a whole 5 years, as assistant minister, as minister in about 5 to 6 ministries, party leader, the 10th vice president of our country, and I'm told my friend Raila was here and he protested. I should not call him former, because once a prime minister, always a prime minister. And yes, I can live with being former, but really the 10th edition of vice presidents in our country. It is no secret that something is indeed rotten in the state of Kenya today. And to be able to paraphrase William Shakespeare's Hamlet, whichever way you look at it, and I want to actually add that not only rotten, but you as professionals are called upon to make the difference. In that serious tragedy of Hamlet, the writer again reflecting said, time is out of joint, oh cursed spite. And I was born to set it right. I'm calling on you as professionals to recognize that time is out of joint, and you are called upon to do something about it. The state of the economy, whichever you look at it, from the state of the economy to misplaced and misguided policies in education, health, and agricultural sectors, our nation is failing. The current regime prioritizes its own interests with nepotism and tribalism, willful corruption, and abuse of state offices taking precedence over professionalism. They've even reinvented goonism, political goonism in our country. This morning's address, the role of professionals in national growth and transformation, is thus particularly timely as we reflect on the state of our nation. In my opinion, the accounting profession should be front and center as the foundation of accountability and transparency in a healthy democracy. Therefore, allow me to focus on 4 critical pillars that I believe members of ICPAK should be guided by in our determined quest to transform our beloved republic into a nation admired and respected regionally and internationally. Pillar number 1, on ethical leadership in professional practice. ICPAK has grown in the last 41 years to be a respected body of some 40,000 certified members who work in diverse sectors of the economy as accountants, as financial experts. Some of them were lent by ODM to William Ruto, auditors, and financial consultants practicing in Kenya and beyond our borders in 44 countries around the globe. Ethics is not some philosophical notion for abstract debate. It is the very essence of professional practice. When you sign off on financial statements, you are not just confirming numbers, you are risking your professional name. You confirm success or failure and define integrity and dishonesty. Ethical leadership is thus an imperative if we are determined to change the destiny of our republic. I therefore call on each one of you today to hold yourselves to a higher level of professional ethics. Your role goes beyond merely technically competent. It involves being a moral compass, bending towards ethical justice. When you witness something in error, do not be afraid to speak out. If you are put on the spot and asked to betray your values, please hold firm. Always remember, your signature is not just a sign. it is a guarantee. Like lawyers say, my word is my bond. Your signature is your guarantee. Not to your customers, but to your country. Pillar number 2, ladies and gentlemen, institutional integrity and nation building. I, like many other Kenyans, am concerned that the procurement systems, which are meant to ensure fairness and value for money, are being misused for personal gain. Kenya's budget processes that should align resources with national priorities have been turned into tools for political favoritism. At the heart of each of these failures is a professional who chose convenience over excellence, compliance over conscience. As a Nobel laureate, very own African leader, Wole Soyinka astutely puts it, and I quote, "The greatest threat to freedom is the absence of criticism." End of quote. It is time your profession regains its critical voice. I encourage you to break free from mere compliance, box checking, and step forward as champions of real institutional change. When systems break down, take the initiative to redesign them. When processes are misused, take action to fix them. Remember, you're not just cogs in the institutional machine, you are the architects and the protectors of it. Ladies and gentlemen, August 27, 2010 will always remain one of the most important days for me, and I believe for our country, and also for you, as well as all Kenyans. As previously stated, I've had the honor of seeing firsthand some of the most significant events leading up to our country's rebirth. When our third president, President Mwai Kibaki, whom I had the honor to serve as his vice president, promulgated the new Constitutional Republic of Kenya at Uhuru Park, Nairobi, I also took an oath of office as our country's 10th vice president. I swore to be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Kenya and to obey, to preserve, protect, and defend our Constitution as by law established, and all other laws of the Republic, and that I would protect and uphold the sovereignty, the integrity, and dignity of the people of Kenya. I therefore have an obligation, if not a duty, to speak out against the current regime's blatant, indeed criminal attempts to state capture independent constitutional offices such as the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget, as well as intimidate the current office bearers, Nancy Gavungu and Margaret Nyakango in particular. The words written in Proverbs 11, I quote 11:3, "When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do?" These words come to mind. I know we are from various faiths, but I think God is universal. The foundations, according to me, are getting destroyed. The righteous act of these two high professionals, Nancy Gavungu and Dr. Nyakango, in exposing wanton rot perpetuated by the current leadership should be celebrated. Despite threats and outright intimidation, they have stood strong and firm. Their moral conscience stays unwavering. They are, in my opinion, genuine shujas, mashujaa wetu hao. I urge ICPAK leadership to stand with and support these two heroes who are members of your profession, and give your voices to publicly condemn a dictatorship that has lost its moral authority, if ever it had one in the very first place. Pillar number 3, civic awakening and youth engagement. There is a civic awakening that is sweeping through our nation, and indeed actually through the continent, especially among the youth. The events of June 25th last year, what I call J25, marked a turning point in our national consciousness. When young Kenyans took to the streets across Kenya in droves They were not just protesting against the punitive finance bill 2024, armed with a bottle of water, our national flag, and their mobile phones. They were reclaiming their role in shaping the future of their nation. I find myself even thinking about what this means for Kenya's business community. These young adults, some of whom are your own students, or indeed your own children, are calling us to answer a basic question. What shall we bequeath to the next generation as professionals? As professionals, you do hold a special place in society. You have specialized knowledge that comes with both power and responsibility. How you choose to use this knowledge will determine whether you are seen as defenders of the status quo or defenders of change. Young people in Kenya are paying attention. They are wondering how professionals who understand the complexity of public finance can remain silent when public money is being stolen. They are wondering why experts who see unsustainable policies speak out only when a crisis has developed. I'm a firm believer in mentorship. It is important to guide young professionals, not just in the technical aspects of their job, but also in the domain of ethical leadership. Let us create forums for deep discussions between generations in organizations. A nation that cannot mobilize the talent and idealism of its youth is one that risks falling behind. I encourage you today to step beyond professional comfort levels. Meet with policymakers, not as technical experts, but as defenders of economic justice. Use your analytical talent to bring into sharp focus the true costs of corruption and bad governance. Use your data analytics to provide us with an honest opinion on where existing policies are taking us. As our own Professor Kalista Juma correctly asserted, I quote, "It is not the size of resources that dictates Africa's development, but how efficiently those resources are utilized," end of quote. As professionals in accounting, you are guardians of that efficiency. Now, my next thing is beyond compliance to conscience. As we near the end of the time we'll be sharing together, I challenge you to go beyond compliance to the next level of conscience. Conscious Kenyans. Utu. Compliance asks, is it legal? Where conscience asks, is it right? I also challenge you to take on 4 specific commitments. Commitment number 1, commit to being an ethical leader in your circle of influence. Where corruption exists, do not remain silent. Where power is being abused, do not stay quiet. Second commitment, take the pledge to seek change in institutions. Use your knowledge to construct structures and put in defense mechanisms to protect against exploitation. Do not stay as implementers in institutions. Be transformers instead. Friends and fellow professionals, I have a question for you. Are you sure that Kenyans received nominations for purposes of reconstituting the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, who are representatives of your profession? I ask this question pointedly. I received some of 2 of your council members when I sat as a co-chair of the NADCO process at Bomas. Your voice was loud and clear. Are you taken seriously? As ICPAK, as accountants, people who have knowledge about numbers, the analytics. And in my view, the next elections will have to depend on accountants to give us correct numbers. Not other professions or lawyers like me, right? But accountants have a specific role. If you're going to throw out the ghost, the ghost of election stealing and that kind of thing. You had that wonderful opportunity. I have another question for you. Why is it that none of the nominees handpicked by President William Ruto are professional members of ICPAK? Why is it? Why were the recommendations of your member, Mr. Andrew Tanui, who was one of the 9 members of the IEBC selection panel, ignored? I believe that if the opposition, which I represent truly, and the broad-based government consisting of UDA and ODM had held consultations and concurred in accordance with the National Dialogue Committee report recommendations, a nominee such as your chairman Kakai, who was on the short list of 9 recommended members of reconstituted IBC, could have been included. And he's sitting here, ignored. I believe by ignoring your chairman, your president, you are being told, Mutadu. I urge you, as a professional body, to step up and join the rising number of people who have expressed no confidence with the Ruto nominations, as well as to request a full and unfurnished accounting of the vetting process by the IEBC selection panel. Kenyans expect nothing less. Third, ladies and gentlemen, let us take a pledge to mentor the next generation. Share your knowledge and experience with the next generation of professionals and leaders. Help create paths for young professionals to develop. Recall, true legacy is not individual success, it is forward thinking and allowing the effortless passage of information. Fourth, give back to your community. Your professional acumen gives you a keen vision of the challenges facing our nation. Employ that vision in public conversation. These commitments will not always be easy to keep. There even be personal or professional repercussions for standing up for what is right and what is just. But let us remember the powerful words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I quote, "The ultimate measure of a woman, a man or woman, is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands or she stands at times of challenge and adversity." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I've taken the time to discuss what I truly believe is the role that professionals can play in reforming society. However, I would be doing the profession an injustice if I did not address an urgent issue that, if handled, will aid in the realization of his vision and goals. When I accepted the invitation to address this distinguished gathering of more than 4,000 professionals, Dr. Kamau shared the 5-day program with me. There were a number of senior members of the executive that were scheduled to speak with you. However, this did not materialize. They did not show up. They failed to honor the invitations and send junior staff in their stead. I know that junior staff sometimes do an excellent job. But look at this decor, the seriousness of this forum. If Prime Minister Raila Odinga made it here and he proclaimed he's still not in government, I doubt that. Others should have taken leadership, showed leadership. They failed to honor the invitations for persons or reasons they believe were valid. I believe this is the latest example of the growing list of Kenya Kwanza kleptocracy, lack of integrity, and indeed ineptitude. It is a reflection of their callous disregard for professionalism. So professionals in our country, please stand up and be counted. Did you know that the last general election had a very interesting statistic? About 8 million Kenyans did not show up to vote. I believe a lot of those who are professionals who found it difficult to go out and queue in a primary school from 6 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And they sat in the comfort of their homes. You unfortunately do not vote by proxy. You got to go there and do it. I think we have to think as professionals. There are countries where voting is compulsory. I think in India, for example, voting is compulsory. It's the world's largest democracy. Think about this. Because of that, every Kenyan with a payslip is feeling the weight of that inaction. Going forward, I think every Kenyan payslip holder will be the first ones, in my view, to get out by 4 o'clock in the morning and then queue. They should have used this forum for public discussion. I'm talking about those friends too who did not show up. And therefore this cannot be, and it cannot properly be seen as a forum for the opposition. So government side, don't be scared of your own people. Come and explain to them. They should have used this forum for public discussion and involvement, carefully listening to your perspectives on the state of the nation and how to remove Kenya off the grey list. They should have sought your expert advice on how to reinforce this 41-year-old body in light of emerging trends and concerns, such as the use of technology, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, as well as dealing with money laundering and wish-washing. They should have discussed accountant empowerment. They squandered an incredible opportunity to work with you, line by line, on the Finance Bill 2025-2026, ensuring their punitive and costly errors of 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 will not be repeated. And more importantly, that no more Kenyan lives will be lost or endangered because of exercising their constitutional rights to peaceably protest and picket. Disregarding the views of Kenyans, be it professional or students, salaried workers or mama mbogas or border riders, ladies and gentlemen, is Kenya Kwanza's modus operandi. I can with absolute authority assure you, assembled here at the Pride Inn or online, that the next administration will not, and I repeat, will not treat professional associations, professionals, and indeed all Kenyans in this shocking disregard. I have no doubt that the next administration will be led by a member of a professional institution, the first in our history, a person of the highest integrity, a Kenyan whose commitment to the rule of law is unwavering and whose resume is a clear roadmap of their dedicated and steadfast service in the public interest. Do you suspect I'm talking about myself? I leave that on to you. As I end my address, I would like you to ask yourself and the man or woman sitting next to you or beside you, whether you have the will to make a difference. When generations look ahead and reflect on this moment of choice in our history, let them remember that when Kenya was at a crossroads, its professionals opted for change over the path of least resistance. Let them understand that accountants are not just number crunchers. They were the guardians of public faith. Let them understand that this generation of professionals did not just construct careers. They helped reshape a failing nation into a transformed, ethically guided economic powerhouse that is internationally respected and admired, as well as benchmarked against and indeed worthy of the new cliche, and I end quote, there is the African continent, and then there is Kenya. Have you heard that lately? I agree, Dr. Wale. You cannot benchmark in mediocrity. The world is benchmarking Kenyans. I repeat, there is the African continent, and then there is Kenya. God bless you, and God bless our Republic, Kenya. Thank you.